Hello, a warm welcome to New Vision TV News tonight. My name is Barbara Nyamwiza. Today is the 25th of November and it is a Monday, and we write on air and online. Just get us on our website on www.newvision.co.ug and on air on Urban TV is where you get our bulletin every other weekday at 9 p.m. We start our bulletin in news around Uganda and start with the country commencing activities to honor the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Youth stood along main roads in the city center here in Kampala, carrying placards written on messages that denounced gender-based violence. At the Mulago roundabout, the youth had placards written on "End Violence Against Women and Girls" as border cyclists looked on. We head to Gulu, and in the region where Amuru and Moya districts belong, roads there are said to be in a very terrible state. The area have left roads in the districts of Amuru and Moya impassable. According to leaders there, many roads are muddy, slippery, and they have deep potholes, which have made service delivery very difficult. We have more.
On a motorcycle, you may not reach where you want to go. And even if you have a vehicle without the, without the four-wheel drive, you may not also make it.
Although she insists that some roads, especially the one from Alero to Gulu, is fairly passable, she hopes the situation can be sorted. While the former Amuru District LC5 chairperson Ojera Christopher, all feeder roads, access roads, and even the central government roads are impassable. What is worrying is, even if you see what is happening in these videos, the four-wheel vehicles and long-distance trucks carrying merchandise and agricultural produce are getting stuck, veering from side of the road to another or getting submerged in the deep potholes. The MP Clark South, Gilbert Oloya, claims that these roads, which are supposed to be maintained by the Uganda National Roads Authority, are poorly graded. He insists that corruption should not derail service provision by the Uganda National Roads Authority.
Meantime, Simsim farmers in Kitgum have the same worries like their colleagues in Nwoya and the areas we just saw in Amuru, where they think that this year's harvest will be low due to the prolonged rains in the region. The farmers foresee a potential food crisis next year, 2020, because bees do not come out of their hives to cross-pollinate the flowering Simsim in the wet and cold. We have more.
With Simsim, no. Because there's been too much rain, and too much rain is not good for Simsim, even right from the pollination aspect of it.
Alfred Apenya, a farmer, explains that the bees, which are natural pollinators, do not come out of their hives due to heavy rains to pollinate the flowering Simsim.
You know, we rely mainly on natural pollination like the bees. And by this time you will be seeing bees moving around, but now you don't see any. it is too cold for them, they remain in their hives. That means nothing is taking place. So the Simsim is getting to worse.
Benson Mwaki
We head to Kampala here in the central, where the Chief of Defense Forces, General David Muhoozi, has launched a countrywide documentation of the reserve forces in a bid to build the UPDF reserve forces into a fully fledged service of the defense forces. This, according to the Army, will enhance the reservists' capacity in the maintenance of peace. Muhoozi, while speaking at the launch of the exercise at Silver Springs Hotel in Bugolobi in Kampala on Friday, saluted the auxiliary forces for always offering their service for the security of Uganda. Still watching New Vision TV News live on Urban TV and online, and we're going to take a break and return with news around East Africa. Do stay with us. You're still watching New Vision TV News, and we head to news around East Africa and start with Kenya, where at least 56 people have died in landslides caused by torrential rain in Kenya's West Pokot region on Saturday. Hundreds of families have been made homeless and are sheltering in churches and schools, and they desperately have need for food, water, and other supplies. 30 other people are still missing. Weather experts in East Africa are warning of a continued heavy downpour that could bring more devastation, particularly in landslide-prone areas. Samuel Mwanji of Kenya's Meteorological Department says even when governments are always prepared, acts of this nature can never be 100% prepared for. Floodplains that are receiving heavy rain, he adds, are also at risk. He further notes that they are giving early warning information and deploying emergency operations to remove people from areas that are at high risk. We head to Tanzania now, and the country's foreign ministry has disclosed that Air Tanzania's latest de Havilland Dash 8400 has been seized in Kanda before its delivery flight to the carrier's base. The aircraft has been impounded just days before it was due to be flown to Tanzania, and this is according to the Office of Foreign Affairs Minister Palamagamba John Kabudi. Let's have our news around the world and start with the Pope's visit to Japan, where he has called for renewed efforts to help victims of the country's 2011 triple disaster that included an earthquake, a tsunami, and the Fukushima meltdown, noting concern in the country over the continued use of nuclear power. On the penultimate day of his long-cherished visit, Francis had an emotional encounter with survivors of that fateful day on the 11th of March in 2011, when a 9.1 magnitude earthquake followed by a 17-meter high tsunami devastated much of northeastern Japan and killed nearly 16,000 people. And now we head to the DRC, where at least 29 people were killed yesterday in a plane crash where a small jet crane was taking off into a densely populated area of the city of Goma in eastern DRC. A survivor among the 19 people, that is 17 passengers and 2 crew members who were aboard the plane, was taken to hospital along with 16 others injured on the ground, the North Kivu regional government said in a statement. At least 29 bodies have been found in the rubble as of now, the statement further said. The BZB Donia 228 smashed into 2 houses near the airport, Deputy Transport Minister Jacques Yuma Kipuya said earlier today. We get into matters local sport, and being a captain or a coach at any football club is one of those jobs that people do not seem to understand very well, because people live at the risk of losing their jobs every other day. In our local sports, we look at how a number of coaches here in the Uganda Premier League are being sacked and others brought on board. Being a coach is arguably the most unappreciated job in all fields of sports, largely because every individual who holds the gig knows one harsh reality: they will eventually get fired, as that is the nature of the industry. The number of coaches who have been shown exit doors by StarTimes Uganda Premier League clubs now stands at 4, with the league yet to hit the second round. Previously, coaches including Kefa Chisala, who was sacked from Wakiso Giants, Richard Waswa Bosa, who resigned from Toro United, and Paul Nkata, who was also shown the exit door at Mbara City a few days ago, have now been joined by the recent sacking of the former Tusker FC coach George Simsim, who was shown a red card from the Uganda Premier League debutants Chetume FC. Nsimbe was sacked following 2 consecutive losses in the league against Onduparaka FC and Wakiso Giants, where they lost 7-1 and 3-0 respectively, leaving the Slaughters in the 12th position on the log of the Uganda StarTimes Premier League table. As of now, it is confirmed that David Mutono is the interim coach for the Slaughters, who is also going to take on the uncompleted job, and Jackson Mayanja, the former coach who enabled them to get promoted from the big league into the StarTimes Uganda Premier League before he was appointed by Tanzanian side Chinondomi Municipal Council, made his return for the second stint to the club as a technical director. Brian Senyondo, before facing the axe, had guided the club in 5 matches, winning 1, losing 2 and drawing 3. He left the club in the 10th position. Apparently, Senyondo was reappointed as a guest coach and was given a 3-match challenge, 2 of which he has managed to win, his first assignment against Onduparaka FC and Chetume FC. Fortunately, he has recovered the 10th position where he left the club. Mbara City FC fired coach Nkata when the club was seen sinking from the lofty heights to the lower ends of the league table in the relegation zone after a series of poor performance. Nkata was in charge of 7 games, won 1, lost 4, drew 2. Wakiso Giants FC's head coach was the first casualty to suffer exit in the StarTimes Uganda Premier League. Under Kefa Chisala, the Purple Sharks had lost 6 games, drawn 1 and won 4. The club immediately appointed former player Stephen Bengo as a caretaker. Just 3 matches under him, the Purple Sharks managed to snatch first maximum points away from home against Busoga, Chetume FC, and a 2-2 draw against Maroons FC and a 1-0 against Vipers FC. Apparently, the Purple Sharks are in 6th position on the log with 20 points. News coming in today is that former Uganda Cranes assistant coach Livingstone Mbabazi is the new coach for Wakiso Giants after he mutually terminated his contract with Onduparaka FC following unpaid dues in sign-on fees and monthly salaries totaling to 50 million Uganda shillings. He is going to work alongside his assistant coach Beka Kasule, goalkeeping coach Yusuf Senyonjo, and Stephen Bengo as a trainer. Mbabazi has massive experience in the Uganda Premier League, having previously handled Bright Stars, Luweza Masavu, the Somalian national team, URA, where he served as assistant coach, Onduparaka, that was his first stint, Chetume, Mbara City, Onduparaka as a second stint, and now Wakiso Giants. Bright Stars appointed Paul Chiwanuka to return to the club with high expectations to lead the club back to its winning rails and perhaps rescue the club from being relegated. In 14 games this season, Bright Stars FC has managed just 1 victory, registering 7 draws and 6 losses under Mohamed Chiseka. Today, Bright Stars is in the 15th position on the StarTimes Uganda Premier League log with 10 points. That's been sports news, and right about now we get into business news with Lynn Komjisha.
In business tonight, the government has registered a shortfall of 603 billion Uganda shillings between July to October 2019. During this period, the government had projected to collect over 6,070 billion Uganda shillings, but has instead collected 5,467 billion Uganda shillings. The shortfall has been attributed to a ban on alcohol sold in sachets, a drop in mobile money transactions, delayed implementation of digital stamps, among others. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Finance, Keithum Hakanizi, explains more.
I think we are over-optimistic because we estimated to increase by 1.2% of GDP, and the maximum we have ever done is only 0.5%. So I think there was a problem, wrong projection. And therefore, it's a lesson we have learned to be very careful. Amidst all those, there are some revenue measures which, because of political problems, have not been implemented on time. For example, digital stamp, we are supposed to get revenue from them. On a budget was done. As Kagwa was not here, Mia was away, as you know. We are supposed to have this one done on 1st July to implement it. As it's turning out, it's going to be implemented 1st of January. Half a year gone without any correction.
The movement of the enterprises of France, the largest French business leaders association, has organized a multi-sector trade mission of French business leaders aimed at enabling them prospect a market that offers significant business opportunities and also identify potential local partners for their future activities. A number of French companies are in the country for the trade mission, and the French Ministry of Europe and Foreign Affairs purposely for economic diplomacy. Meanwhile, another delegation of at least 22 companies from the United Arab Emirates is set to visit Uganda on Thursday this week for a trade and investment forum to be held at the Sheraton Hotel, Kampala. Ugandan businesses will have the opportunity to interact with the United Arab Emirates delegation as they seek to form synergies with the Ugandan counterparts on the backdrop of the growing business between the two countries. Olive Chigongo, the president of the Uganda Chamber of Commerce, noted that Uganda, United Arab Emirates Trade and Investment Forum presents many Ugandan businesses with the opportunity to introduce themselves to the United Arab Emirates market.
Thank you so much, Lynn Komjisha. And with that, we come to the end of our newscast tonight. Thank you for having kept us company. And do remember to do the same tomorrow at exactly 9 p.m. We'll leave you with our night's fact file. My name is Barbara Nyamwiza. Have a blessed night.